Welcome, everybody, to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast. I am Pete Wright, and that there is Nikki Kinzer.
Hello, Pete Wright.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Are you feeling good? How's your spending?
Good. Under control.
Under control. Are you relaxed? Are you relaxing through your holiday shopping?
I am.
Excellent.
I'm relaxed.
That's really good to hear. You know, this is a digital episode this week, and
now I just tensed up. Thank you.
Well, you know, I tell you, we've been talking about money. Last week we talked about, we did a session on smart spending, how to really rein in your spending over the holidays and put a framework so that you don't fall into the sometimes notorious ADHD trap of impulsivity and lack of focus in your buying, and really do things that you regret come January. And this week we're talking about some of the tech tools for money management. And I don't have many, but I do have some thoughts that I would love to share about managing money when it becomes overkill. When can you focus even, too much on the tools and not enough on your spending and the process. So that's what I was hoping to talk about today.
Sounds wonderful.
The first thing that I want to say is that it all falls into this money management process. I think when things fall apart, it's when we invest in all kinds of tools and software and services, and then we don't check them.
Right.
Does that ring any bells?
Yes, absolutely.
We have these things, these automated download things, and we have these, alerts and account alerts and transfers and things that are happening, but we don't make a conscious appointment with ourselves or with our partners or spouses to sit down on a regular basis and actually use those tools, actually make sure that the checkbooks are balanced, make sure that the financial management tools that we have in place are actually doing what they need to do. They require human intervention. That's the real trick, And we've talked about finance night around our house. We have this finance night, and finance night has evolved around our house, and now it's become sort of finance coffee. As our kids have gotten older and homework has gotten more intense, the evening for sitting down and looking at numbers gets later and later, and we find ourselves doing it less and less frequently. And so now we do this thing where we just treat each other to a cup of coffee and go out and sit over a table at a different coffee shop each week and actually review the finances. It's kids are at school, we don't have any other distractions, and it makes a really nice way to sit down and reflect on our spending and do some planning. We're in a position where all of our 23-year-old appliances are all dying at the same time, and so that's requiring a bit of planning and forecasting that we had not anticipated. Mm-hmm. Though you might note from the number 23 years, we should have anticipated, but everything's been working until it just doesn't. And so, that process, that commitment to ourselves and to the finances, it makes a big difference to make sure we're on the same page. So start with the process. Make sure you have a process. And then we can talk about actually managing the dough. What do you think?
Sounds reasonable.
Okay so far?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now what do you use to manage your finances?
Well, when you say that, what exactly
I didn't mean it to be a trick question.
Okay, because it's kind of a trick question.
Let's talk first about for your business. I know you use like QuickBooks, right?
Yeah. Yes. For my business, I use QuickBooks, and I try to use that with personal too, but it just got really confusing. So I just use that for business, and then I am signed up with Mint.com, mm-hmm. So I will get notifications of things through them, and that's been really helpful. And then honestly, I have my credit union app. And so the nice thing about that is I can look at my accounts right on my app and online, and I can deposit checks through my phone, right? You just take a picture and deposit and all that stuff. So that's always really nice. So that's what I do. Yeah. Well, and it's not real fancy.
No, and that's really the point. I think you are a case example for how to approach finances, right? If you make it too fancy, you won't stick with it generally. If you have trouble, like I do sometimes, hyper-focusing on process, then you will invest a lot of time in making sure that your tags and categories and all of your Quicken accounts and transfers all work and they're all great. And then because hyper-focus tends to be time limited, you will move on to something else. And then it just fades away. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that becomes a huge challenge. And so I talk about Quicken and QuickBooks from Intuit. Quicken has had sort of a dark, a shady recent past. They went through a couple of tough years where they made some frankly weird product decisions, and they simplified their product to the point of not being what people expected it to be anymore, and dealt with some blowback from that. A lot of people moved into what has become a nice, a really robust market for financial products, and some of those are based on the computer. There's a great one for the Mac called iBank that works that syncs up with your iPad and iOS device. iBank is a very simple tool. There are a number of money management sort of envelope banking tools for jumping into and managing your finances, syncing with your financial institutions to make sure everything's in one place. But the era of managing a desktop software client for most people has been something that's sort of fading away. It ends up being overkill when we have such robust web apps that are kind of taking their place. Most of the major financial institutions have a pretty solid, I would say, web interface. Some of them you expect to have really solid web interfaces, and they just, it ends up being really rudimentary. But even the most rudimentary of online banking infrastructure tends to be good enough. It allows you to make transfers. It allows you to see transitions or transactions. It allows you to download your statements and make sure you have all of your recent statements, usually in PDF format to support your paperless workflow.
That's right.
And so what more do you really need than that instant access to that snapshot of where your money is right now? Well, one class of tools that I absolutely recommend you think about is a class of tools that allows you to stay on top of your bills, specifically your bills. And the example app I want to share with you is an app called Chronicle. It is an app for iOS, but there are other apps similar to this. And I encourage you to just run a few little searches, and you will find something for whatever platform you use. The whole idea behind Chronicle and its simplicity is all it doesn't manage your accounts or your finances. All it does is manage the bills that you have coming up, and it allows you to see them in a handy interface on your iPhone and iOS. It allows you to put the dates when the bills are due, allows you to run some quick reports so that you can get a snapshot of what's due, when it's due, how often it's due, so that you can see where you're spending your regular payments each month.
That's great. And what a great visual too, if you're able to print something out if we're going paperless, put something on the computer, but that actually visually shows you, when things are due. I mean, that I can see that being so helpful for people. It really is.
And this takes that level of sort of just simplicity, like just add it in. So do you have a daycare payment every month? When is that payment due? Put it in here, put it on the calendar, and then just keep it, it'll send you a notification when that's due. You can see what's due this month. When are all the bills due this month? It's a really handy way just to keep this piece on track. You can then just eyeball it. Do I have enough money for this month? In the due soon category, I've got an estimated $1,500. Do I have that much in my account, in my bills account in my credit union or bank? It lets you see where your money is going. So it's a really handy class of apps. Now, I don't actually use Chronicle personally because I'm a big OmniFocus fan. So I actually created a project and a context around my bills in OmniFocus, so I can go in and see what's coming up, what bills are available this month that I'm going to need to stay on top of, and I use OmniFocus to do that. So whatever tool you use, my recommendation really is to stay on top of your bills. Make sure you have, at least like I do, a section in your or a class or a category or a context in your to-do app of choice that addresses bills specifically and sends you alerts, or invest in something like Chronicle. Chronicle's $2.99. It gets you the iPad and the iPhone version, and it's really worth it just to keep your head in the game of when and where your money needs to go, those regular payments. Mm-hmm. Now, the online services, I'm also a huge, huge fan of. You mentioned Mint.com. What's your experience with Mint? Can you describe what it does for you?
Well, I actually have kind of a problem with it. So I don't know if I did something wrong or if I need to do something differently. But for some reason, it has combined my home account and my business account together. And so it's confusing because it will tell me like a bill is coming up, but really there isn't a bill coming up because it was a business expense or whatever.
Sure. So
it's gotten a little foggy as far as like how well it works. What I like about it is that it gave me a platform as far as like what you were saying this other thing does. Chronicle is, it gave me a platform to put what bills I have and when they're due so I could visually see it and how much money per month is going to each category. Yes. So that helped. And then
why did you sign up for Mint in the first place?
I think just to help me create a budget, to try to figure out, where our money was going and how I needed to save, where I needed to save. And I'd heard about it before, a couple of financial advisors had mentioned it. And so I thought I'd check it out. And one of the things that did help me at one point is it notified me on a bill coming up that I had forgotten I don't remember exactly what it was, but whatever the notification was, it actually ended up saving me some money because then I was able to follow up on it. Otherwise, I think I would have forgotten or I wouldn't have. Yeah. So the little notifications have been kind of helpful.
I'm a big fan of services like these, and Mint is it's a great service that really is designed, I think, more for the individual small financial needs kind of person. It doesn't have like the big investor tools, although if you add the whole concept behind Mint is that you sync up your financial accounts from multiple different financial institutions. So you have your mortgage with one bank, and you have your personal with a checking account with another bank, and your business checking account with another bank. You add all these sign-ins, and then Mint becomes the one place where you log in to see all of your entire financial snapshot. So it's very, very useful in that regard. And they give you handy graphs, and it does this auto budgeting thing. So as your expenses come in and it syncs with your financial institution, it tells you you spent a lot of money on coffee this month. You get to see a picture of that. So adding that to your weekly finance night meeting, being able to do a review of your financial snapshot is really important. I use another tool called Personal Capital. And this is another one in this same kind of class of accounts. It allows me to log into my bank accounts, and it allows me to see, not only my checking accounts, but our school loans, our retirement accounts, our credit cards, all of our other, all of the loan accounts that we have been dealing with, our mortgage, our, all and our assets. We add our home into Personal Capital, and it'll give us a snapshot of our net worth, today, based on current rates and current balances. And so it ends up being a really handy way to see your entire spending habit of spending. And so between this, which is the big picture, right, and something like Chronicle or OmniFocus Bills Context, which is the very short-term narrow picture, it really works for at least addressing that need to simplify and not get completely overwhelmed in the minutia of every single category transaction and things like that. Now, in some cases, you absolutely have to because of business expenses. You've got to stay on top of your business expenses. And how do you do that? How do you take pictures of all of your receipts? Do you scan them? Do you what do you do that? But how do you integrate that process into something that really simplifies the way you think about your money so that you don't get caught up and you can relax?
Oh, look at there.
Did you see that?
There's
I just tossed that back in. Yeah.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Like that.
Thank you. So anyway, those are the tools that I recommend. At least checking out and thinking about how you manage your finances. Make an appointment with yourself to start that finance night process. Be conscientious and just be mindful. Is the system that you use now overkill for what you need, or does your bank or financial institution offer a solution that would help you stay on top of your money, how much you have, without getting into so much of a process that you won't actually stay on top of it? Invest in a tool like Chronicle to keep you on top of your individual bills, and take a look at Mint or Personal Capital. Both of these services are free. They don't support all financial institutions, and so you have to kind of sign up and see, does my bank support Mint? Can I sign in to my Personal Capital account? I got lucky with Personal Capital. All of mine work. Some of mine didn't work with Mint, and so it doesn't actually give me a complete picture if I use Mint, and so that's one of the reasons I don't use it, because it's not a complete picture. I'm going to invest in one of these things. I want to make sure it's complete. So that's it. What do you have? Any questions?
I like it. No, I think this is a great overview and great options, and as always, I appreciate your expertise.
Well, I live to serve. Thank you.
It's awesome.
And thank you, everybody, for checking out this episode of the show. Don't forget, we're coming into the holiday season. You've got friends and family, kith and kin coming into town. But don't forget, there is still time to sign up. Open until December 29th for the group coaching, the new group coaching sessions that Nikki is launching beginning in 2015. Until December 29th, the enrollment is open. So head over to TakeControlADHD.com, click on that group coaching button, and sign up if you've been thinking about getting some support. This is a great way to start your year. By jumping in and getting support in a small group. We're very excited about this.
Very much so. Thank you.
Excellent. So, on behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you, in a couple weeks, yeah. So enjoy
Merry
the
Christmas.
holidays. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, wherever you are. Take some downtime. Don't forget to relax. This has been Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.